Hey you. Yeah, you. Smile. Hi friend, you're listening to Marysaystosmile, the podcast I hope you get something out of. Whether it's a smile, laugh, or learning something about whatever it is we're talking about. Hi everybody, it's your girl Mary, and today I'm joined by
Kassidy.
Yay! Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So, today's episode is a smidge deeper, a smidge even darker, I want to say. We're kind of going into the deep end. If you don't have your floaties, I don't know if you can swim with us today. A little bit of a darker topic than maybe some of the usual ones, especially since we're following up with like the happy episode. But anyways, today's topic / title you're going to see is On Stage, Off Stage, the Dark Side of Performing. So to preface this a little bit, we're both performers. So personally, also just to preface this entire episode, this is strictly coming from our opinions, our experiences. Other performers or, I don't know, other people, they're just going to have different things to say or how they feel about it. So take this episode with a grain of salt, or just know that we're speaking from our experiences. Your experience may not be like that, but it is what it is.
So true, bestie. So true.
So personally speaking, I'm a dancer, but I've done a few musicals. I've been in a play or two here and there as just like an ensemble member. I want to say I've been doing it since I was like in high school till now, which is like way after college. How about yourself?
I've been dancing since I was 4, so I believe that's about 16 or 17 years now.
Oh my gosh.
Don't count the age. Never ask a woman her age.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been in a few plays before. I've had to act in one, and I'll be in an upcoming play coming out shortly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just interesting to see how different people have very different experiences, even though you're doing the same thing.
Honestly,
yeah.
Yes. But it also depends on which of like, in performing arts, there's like the 3. Are you a singer, a dancer, or like an actor?
I am very much a dancer. God knew I would be too powerful if I could sing. So he gave me the ability to not sing. So.
Oh my God. Yeah. I totally relate to that. I know people are like, oh, can you sing? And I'm like, definitely not.
Yeah.
My body is my instrument.
True.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes.
That's cute.
Yes. But I do love acting. Mm-hmm. I just have a really hard time memorizing lines. Mm-hmm. But I do like acting, actually.
But I feel like when you dance, you have to act.
Too, period. Right? Yeah.
Like, it's a combination of both.
Yes.
Yeah. So it kind of works out.
Because when you're doing, like, a sad song, you're not going to be smiling.
Yeah, you're not, like, Broadway, jazz hands happy.
Skipping across the stage.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so one of the main subtopics kind of for today is body dysmorphia. This is, like, a whole thing. Almost feel like if people really jive with this episode, body dysmorphia is a whole episode in itself.
Definitely.
For sure.
Yeah.
But for today, it's mostly like body dysmorphia in the sense of performing arts / dancer / what we've encountered with it. So I think a lot of times when people think of dancers, they have a stereotype of like dancers.
Oh, absolutely.
But eating disorders, body dysmorphia, for sure. What do you think about that?
You know, we're in an age of social media. We're always fed these ideals of, oh, you have to be really skinny, really tall, but you also have to have like, you know,
a little bit of curve.
Yeah, you know, and it's like, that's not how it works.
Period.
You know, like naturally, that's not how people are.
Yeah.
You know? So I think, especially for dancers, the industry is so competitive.
Yeah.
And you're always trying to be like the one that's noticed.
Yeah.
So you always try to have something that sticks out to you.
But in a good way.
Yeah. And I think people definitely take it to the extreme, especially if you're in performing arts is very based on the way you look, the way you present yourself to others. So it's definitely an external and internal thing people have to deal with.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've ever watched the movie Stick It, where it's about gymnastics.
Yes, yeah.
There's a scene where it's like, what do these girls have that we don't? And in gymnastics, obviously, you're working your body so much. You're literally working out like 1,000 times per day. So they have muscular tones and everything, which you need. But they were like, what do these girls have? Because they're getting guys that we don't. And one of the girls was like, boobs. Because so society
Yeah.
is going to tell you like, yes, we need the boobs and butt. But then if you're in the dance industry or even
you don't want that. That
you
is
don't
the
want
last
that
thing.
Exactly, because that's going to be a curve in your perfect stick line. Yeah. So I think it's really interesting that you brought it up, because I feel like it's super hard for teenagers right now in the dance industry. Like, if you want to go a certain route, like the ballet route, like society is like, show me your curves, show me like you thick. But then your industry, your profession is going to tell you, oh, we don't want that. So it's going to be it's very like pull and tug, like which one do you choose? But at the same time, it's like, what do you want? And like, what makes you feel good and everything?
I think really to come to terms, everybody has their own body image issues. Like, you know, like, I wish I looked like this. I wish I didn't have this. You know, everybody goes through it, even if you think you don't.
Yes.
Consciously or subconsciously, you will. And that's just, you know, a facet of growing up. Learning how to come to terms with yourself. But really, I think you just have to understand who you are and just be unapologetic of who you are.
Yes, queen.
You know what I mean? Like, because people can tell you, you should look like this, you should act like this, you should be like this. But if that's not you, don't do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. Yeah. You know, just realize your own self-worth. And that can take you so far.
I love the professional dancers that went the traditional ballet route, and then they hated it, and they realized it made them feel kind of shitty about their bodies, and then they went on and did contemporary ballet companies and kind of like led the way for, you can do it, just do it your way, and it can work and be successful.
Yes, very much.
So going back to kind of like body dysmorphia, I feel like dance taught me there can be things wrong with your body that you can't control or low-key even work on. Like, if a dancer has natural born flexibility turnout, you can't necessarily, like, you can work on it, but only to a certain extent that someone can be born with it.
Yeah, because that's your, like, genetic predisposition.
Yeah.
You can't overstretch what you were given.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. Because if you overstretch it, that's how people get hurt. That's how injuries happen.
Yes.
And I'll remember, I think I was like very early in college, like freshman or sophomore, and I was dancing all the time. I loved it. And then people would be like, oh, so do you want to be a professional dancer? And I was like, oh, no, I could never be a professional dancer. And they're like, wait, what? Why? And I was like, oh, because I don't have like amazing natural turnout. I can't turn to save my life. My extensions are just not there. And then the limbs are not where they should be. And people were like, I remember like people that don't know dancing,
they're like, what? They're like, what does that even mean?
I think you're overanalyzing. I'm like, no, it literally is that.
But see, that's what performers do. They always like nitpick, like, because they want to get better or be the best or, you know, get the top role or whatever. You have to kind of critique yourself.
Yes.
In a way, sometimes it's a little too much.
Yeah.
We do it to ourselves and we don't even like think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's like the perfect segue into perfectionism in performing arts.
Yeah.
So going off of what you said, do you think there's pros and cons to perfectionism, or is there only cons?
Oh, I definitely think there's pros and cons.
Okay.
You know, perfectionism drives you to be better, motivates you, determination. Those are all big things that you need to succeed, not in performing arts, but just life in general.
Exactly.
But, you know, with that always comes cons. You know, if you overstep too much, you might be in a con.
Yeah.
Or if you're even understep, you might be in a con, you know? So just kind of, everything is about balance.
Period.
Finding that sweet spot, and it's not just all bad and all good, right? You have to take both.
Yes. I totally agree with what you said, due to the fact that I think having the dance background and everything, it's like, you do know that you can always do better and you can work on things, which I think is honestly such a pro. And yes, no shade. Some people need it more, but then the cons are like, if you nitpick too much and it's like, you're super down on yourself.
Yeah.
I feel like I always see that in people where they get, I mean, I also do it myself. So it's something I need to work on. But if you go backstage on a performance, it's so night and day, because on stage, people will be crystal pearly white, amazing and happy and stuff. And then you get off stage and they just start crying because they're like, did you see that I missed a turn?
Right? It's playing the character.
Exactly.
And, that nitpicking again, like, oh, I miss one move. Really, the audience will probably never know unless they're a professional choreographer, director, or whatever.
Yes.
But it's just like a natural instinct.
Yeah. Yeah. And it always still shooks me, because you will meet the most amazing dancers. They will have such amazing performances. And if you're backstage and you're like right about to tell them, oh my God, they just are like, I can't believe I did so bad. And they're genuinely just so upset because they just start nitpicking everything that was wrong with the performance. And it was like, oh, I saw none of that. You were honestly amazing. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. And I'm sure you definitely have moments like that. I know I definitely have moments like that. Like, as soon as I rewatch a rehearsal or performance video, I'm like, foot, no, knee, you need to be straightened.
Period.
Like, it's just like those little things. And I think because when you're into your craft, you're obviously going to be very nitpicky. Like, you want to, because that's what you love to do. And obviously it comes across in the way you perceive yourself, the way you perceive others. So it's just interesting to see, like, that backstage versus that on stage. Like, it's such a big difference.
It really is. Yes. I'm trying to think. I was like, what was I thinking? But yeah, it's when we put something on the stage or perform something, it's almost as if when an artist puts out their painting or their pot, if there's a crack in the pot, if there's a really crooked line that's not supposed to be on the painting, you're just like disappointed with yourself. And I think a lot of like performing, that's what it is too. It's like, you're like, this is my work. This is what I have to say for it. So I want to put out the very best that I can. And also, depending on your choreographer, your relationship with them, you're like, I'm performing someone else's work. So it has to be like 1,000 times better because I love and respect this person. So if I don't do it well, it's almost like you're also disappointing them.
Yeah. In essence, you're giving the audience your soul.
Period.
You're allowing them to see this vulnerable side of you that maybe you wouldn't get to do in another setting. So, internalizing that, but this is my choreographer and I want to do good for them, but also for myself.
Yes.
Maybe also for my friends and family who came to watch me or anything like that. So really understanding that perfectionism is not just a bad thing.
Yeah.
There are definitely perks, but that balance is always key.
The line of too far.
Yes. Just understanding where that line is.
Yes. Respecting that line. For sure. So how would you say being in the performing arts has affected your mental health?
Ooh, great question. I think everything, is good and bad. There are definitely pros. I've definitely grown in confidence, like accepting who I am, coming to terms with that.
Yeah.
But there are definitely also some negatives. I know myself and probably a lot of other dancers have experienced, the famous performance anxiety, butterflies in your stomach.
Oh, so bad.
Everybody always has that. So it's kind of like a more common thing. But, sometimes people will experience that body dysmorphia we talked about. Maybe depression, all of those mental health topics we're kind of talking about now. We're seeing a rise in because of what's going on in the world. And I think it's important to acknowledge the way you feel.
Yeah.
Like, feel what you feel, but don't let it consume you.
Period.
Yeah.
I definitely, sometimes people, myself included, I feel like we're not over dramatic, but sometimes I have to be like, your feelings are valid, Mary. Like, yes, feel what you're feeling, but we cannot wallow in this. We cannot stay in this. We have a life to live. We were given a life to live. So we need to go and continue to do that and make the best of it. So let's take this moment. Let's be sad. Let's cry it out. Maybe we're even angry. But after this, we need to go and figure out what's going to make us happy and continue on that path.
Those are always the best learning moments. And that's honestly where you grow the most. You learn more about yourself in those times of hardship.
Yes. Would you say, was there ever a point, I feel like a lot of dancers go through this and it's not necessarily talked about. Was there ever a point where you didn't want to dance?
Oh, absolutely. It happens more often than you would think for some people. Like I was saying earlier, it's something that's a part of you. You grow to love. And I think with that always comes very intense feelings. Like you either have, oh my God, I'm going to go to New York City Ballet and I'm going to be the top.
Yes.
You know, and then other days you're like, I never want to do this again in my life. I hate it. I hate the people here. That give and take is just so crazy depending on the day.
Oh my gosh, honestly.
Depending on your mindset.
Yes.
You know, like just even the slightest comment from somebody else can just totally shift your whole way you view things.
Yes.
And sometimes it's crazy how much others can influence us.
Yeah.
Whether consciously or subconsciously.
Yeah.
So just understanding like how you work and what will make you happy.
Yes. I'm always very jealous of people like or other dancers that have a very I don't give a fuck kind of vibe because I feel like they are truly focused on themselves, which I kind of get jealous of because sometimes I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself because I feel like an invisible pressure from others. Like like, oh, my choreographer wants this from me, but I don't know. Or they're saying really rude things to me, which really deeply affect me. Or even my co-dancers, they're like, oh, you know, they say things or they act a certain way. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So there's a lot of different facets because it's a very, when you're a dancer, you can't help but work with people.
Yeah. You have to.
Sometimes the vibe is just not there and it can deeply affect your mental health.
Yeah.
Yes. I went through this experience where I almost quit dance purely because of a teacher choreographer because they were very rude. And it was weird because they were so loving and amazing and I put them on such a high pedestal that when we went through this experience together and all of a sudden they were like, okay, this is what's wrong. This is what's da-da-da. And they just said it in like the harshest, rudest tones. And it was like an experience where there was two different things being said. And instead of hearing my piece, they just chose to only hear another person's piece and then purely judge me and treat me unfairly because of that. And I was like, you're my choreographer, but you're my teacher. And
you kind of feel a little betrayed.
But it just will hit so much harder than if it was
coming
like a
from
stranger.
Somebody you respect.
Exactly.
You know?
And it's someone that I've worked with. And I was like, I felt like it was so unprofessional. And purely because of that, and I felt like my safe space, my studio just became all of a sudden like unsafe. And I was like, I might quit dance forever. Like, this is not the tea.
Yeah, that is definitely the shittiest experience. You know, especially if you're a young child and adolescent, you know, you're going through all these changes. And on top of that, you're kind of feeling not berated, but you're kind of feeling this pressure from maybe older peers, adults. And that you really respect and look up to. And when you don't feel like you're getting the same respect back, you kind of just shut
What's
down
wrong
a little
with
bit.
Me?
Definitely.
So going off of like, I guess, people and almost toxic environments, do you feel like sometimes it was a toxic environment, or why was that?
I think it's definitely toxic when you're not surrounded by the right people. Not just people who aren't like-minded as you, but have different motives from you.
Oh,
you know, say you just want to be there to better yourself, but maybe someone else is there to be the best. To be the star of the show. You know, and you have those conflicting
interests.
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes it's hard to deal with people like that, especially if you really can't come to a consensus or see eye to eye. Find like a common ground between you two.
There's always that grind between the two personalities.
Yes. And, you know, not to say one is at fault and one isn't. You know, there's just a disconnect there. And I think if there are times that you can kind of separate yourself from maybe people or situations you're not that into, can just help change your whole view.
Oh, for sure. Like, don't be afraid. like if your whole studio is toxic, but you know that it's like maybe the best place for you in terms of like they honestly do have the best technique and things in your area, don't be afraid to be the loner girl or guy. Don't be afraid to be the loner dancer just sitting in the corner, truly working on yourself by disassociating with the toxicity or drama of the studio. So that's another thing too, is like in the studio, predominantly it's women, right? So I've been in multiple studios where it's predominantly women, and I don't know what it is, but if there's just more than 3 girls in a room, I feel like there's always drama, especially high school. When you're in high school or intermediate and you are in a room full of girls, and if half of you go to the same school, other half go to different schools, there's always drama.
Yeah, it's very cliquey.
Very cliquey.
Yeah.
And then when you go through the changes of puberty and everything, and you're in the dancing world, you're like constantly comparing yourself to others, or like what you said, like, you know, I'm here because I love to dance and I have so much fun. And then someone's there and is like, okay, but I'm here to get the main part. And, you know, if you get in my way of that, I don't feel bad for stepping on you kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting to see like how people who seemingly come from the same background, you know, pretty much raised the same way, raised together, you know, childhood friends, how you can just have 2 totally different experiences based on your personality, like your temperament, and the personality of those around you.
Yes.
So it's interesting to see that really people affect you so much more sometimes than you affect yourself.
Ooh, yes. Yeah. So true. Yeah. If there was something that you could tell your younger self, particularly that deals like, you know, like you run into your younger self that's about to go to the studio.
Yes.
What is something you wish someone would have told you or you would tell yourself?
I know everybody always has like the cliche, you know, like, don't listen to them.
Yeah.
You know, just do your own thing. And really, it's so hard to do that in practice.
Period.
Sometimes. Like, no matter how hard you want to work or you just want to better yourself, sometimes things definitely get in the way of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just so, you know, taking it day by day. Not every day you're going to be the star of the show. Some days you're going to have to be, you know, like a backup.
Yes.
And that doesn't diminish your self-worth at all.
Period.
You know, like everybody deserves a chance to feel special.
Yeah, yeah.
And just because somebody is, you know, the star of the show right now doesn't mean that your time will never come. You know, everybody's timing is different.
Everyone is fit for different parts.
Exactly. And you know, if it's meant to be, it will never pass you by.
Yeah.
And if it didn't happen, that means it wasn't supposed to. And that's fine. Like nothing's wrong with that. Yeah. But just realizing that, I think, is the biggest thing.
Yes, yes. So personally, I would tell my younger dancing self, like, I feel like I still tell myself this, and it is very cliche, but dance for yourself.
Oh, that's a good one.
Don't dance for other people. Yes, you're dancing for a choreographer, but don't dance for that choreographer. Like, you're dancing because you love to dance and to hold on to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Thank you. Okay, so I think that's a good place to stop. I feel like this is a very easy topic to just talk about for a long time.
Definitely.
Because there's so many different facets and just like you could just go stories for days.
You can go deep into like the mental health side, into your personal experiences or both. So yeah.
Lots to say. Let us know if you love it, if you want to hear more about it, or if we should get more dancers in on this and have like a mini group powwow about it. Like, Kassidy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited you're on. I'm excited for more episodes with you.
Yes, of course.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Hi there. That was an episode of Marysaystosmile. Please like, share, review, and subscribe. Basically, however you're listening to this podcast. Also, I've made an email for you guys to send questions or topics that you would like for me to discuss/talk about. It's going to be himarysaystosmile@gmail.com. One more time, himarysaystosmile@gmail.com. Anyways, I hope you have the most amazing day. Bye.